over there, which my VA medical facility also is in. Okay? This college should have been the Palace. It's not. Why do we have to go digging to find all this stuff? You know, if you come out to my airplane, you pull out a book, I got a flat tire, okay, on the right-hand side. This is what I did to fix it. Plain, simple, just like everybody's checkbook. And if we can't do that for our college, transparency is an illusion. It's just subterfuge. It's like, oh, shiny. It's a distractor, okay? They lost our trust. They spent $190 million, spent a $43 million culinary center, $2 million soccer facility. My kids will never use it. I doubt if many kids here will ever use it, okay? I'm not against making great, delicious food, but if they want the building, they should continue to pay for it. You know, this is like a combined effort. We got 8 counties here paying for this. And now they just want to walk away from it. And then they want to come in without following their own guidelines, as pointed out by Joe, about the specific rules about having public meetings, public announcements, recorded minutes of the meeting. They didn't follow procedure. Therefore, it doesn't get an inch off the ground. We shouldn't even be here, okay? So just like any other judge in past elections claims they don't have any standing, okay? Until the procedures are followed, you guys shouldn't be asked to do this at all. So please ask them to follow procedure, maybe come back again, let the people speak. And since we haven't had a public meeting, they got no ground to ask for an SFID. So please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Christy Lee.
Good morning, and thank you for hearing me out. I forgot my tax thing like him. I thought of it, but yeah, I'm a taxpayer too. I'm a retired worker, but not retired from paying bonds and taxes. So anyways, I came here today regarding the proposal from the Yuba College to pass another bond for repairs that were never done. I live in District 5. And I've talked to a lot of my fellow residents, friends. I'm up in the Browns Valley, Loma Rica area, and we're all pretty perplexed as to why Yuba College wants another bond for repairs. It's ridiculous. Where did the $190 million go? We don't know. Getting some ideas. The current bond was passed in 2006 for $190 million. Was for repairs at Yuba College. The repairs were never done. I'm emphasizing that. Where did all that money go? Taxpayers' money. I am retired, fixed income, more taxes, more bonds. It's going to be a burden. You need to think about the people that voted for you. The people, the residents. Apparently, with all this money, don't know where they put it. Don't know where they spent it all. The UCC Board of Trustees, they made a lot of poor decisions. And now they have the nerve to ask for more money, taxpayers' money. So anyways, you all already know you work for us. And we can't afford, the people cannot afford more taxes and more bonds. And let's see what else here. I got to read my notes. I'm not good at remembering all this. So the college has already received a very large amount of money that the taxpayers will be paying on for a very long time. And the repairs, again, were never done. I'm asking you please to do the right thing. Vote no on this SFID. No more bonds. My property taxes are high enough. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Through the chair, we do have one comment on Zoom.
Okay.
We have Lois. Lois, if you could please state your full name for the record, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lois Lurie Cameron.
Proceed.
I am well, first of all, good morning. I'm a lifelong Yuba-Sutter native and resident, currently in District 5, also Yuba College alumni. I did vote yes on the bond that we are currently paying on. However, after listening to both sides, I think that this needs to be not even on a ballot before the people until there's more investigation into where the funds that we've already allocated have actually gone. Because I have to say that the verbiage that was used in the original bond that was presented to us made it, it alluded to the fact that it would be spent within Yuba and Sutter counties. And now to find that possibly it's been spent on these other campuses that wish to leave the district, that makes me a bit livid. I expect my county taxes that I pay to stay within my county and to benefit my county. Possibly my children are grown, but my grandchildren, this is, yes, please vote this down, or at the very least, put it on hold until we are able to find out more information about where the funds have gone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lois.
That is all the comments.
Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll have any leading clarification questions first. I think Gary has one that he'd like to do. And if there's any other leading clarification questions, we'll do those. And then we'll do just general board comment. All right.
Thank you, Chair. I actually have 3 questions. So Tanya, if you could come up, I think they're all for you or your staff. So the first one, and you may not know the answer to this one, but based on what has happened in Wheatland, I assume I know the answer. And so I just want to ask it because it does come up. If in the future, the Woodland Community College portion of the district, including their associated campuses or facilities, were to leave, it would be my understanding that the taxpayers that passed the current bond would continue to pay that bond until it is paid off. Is that a correct understanding of how that works?
That's also my understanding, yes.
Okay. And my next question, Mr. Hendricks mentioned a lot of ed code and a specific things that were needed in a resolution. Based on that description, it sounded to me that the ed code and the resolution he was referencing was potentially related to a future step in this process. Is that a correct assumption and understanding?
That's correct. Under state law, our Board of Trustees does have to take those steps, but cannot do so until both Sutter and Yuba counties pass the SFID resolution. At that time, they would have the opportunity to then take those steps.
Okay. And Mr. McWhorter mentioned that his tax bill has different dates than 2006. I assume that those dates are either when additional bonds authorized by the voters in 2006 were sold or when bonds were refinanced. Is that a correct understanding of that?
That's correct.
Okay,
It's
thank
all
you.
the same bond.
The passed once by the voters in 2006 for a certain amount. It can be issued at different times. It can be refinanced. And so that can cause it to appear differently on the tax bill.
That's correct.
Okay. Those are it for my questions.
Thank you, Council. Thank you. All right. If we don't have any other clarifying questions, we will move to board comments. Do you have a clarifying question?
I have a clarifying comment, I hope.
Okay.
So what we're asked to potentially approve here today is just splitting off Yuba and Sutter County. And if they then desire to want to bring a bond later, it will just be Yuba and Sutter County, not these other counties. We're not approving a bond. And my opinion is no matter what, they're going to bring a bond back, whether it's just Yuba and Sutter County or the whole district. And my opinion is we would be better off to do this and have more control over local, just Yuba and Sutter County. My opinion is I wish we'd just do Yuba County, but that's not what they're requesting here. So I would like to get it on a more local deal. And then my other comment was, or question for Yuba College, Liz had to leave, I think. I saw her leave. She said there's 3 more positions opened up on that are available on that oversight committee. So I'm hoping that 3 people from my district will volunteer. How would somebody volunteer to be on that board or that committee? Okay, so I'm hoping that,
Apologize for not using the microphone. They're welcome to contact me.
I'm hoping some of the people that are seeking clarification on how the money's spent and everything will go on that committee, because just like being on this board or any committee that I'm on with the county, you go in thinking one thing and you just get like bombarded with
Government is
information to dive
complicated.
into, and you come out realizing something's completely different. So I love to see more people from the community get involved on these committees and boards.
All right. Gary, any other comments? Go ahead.
So the first is just kind of a general comment. It came up due to some of the back and forth and confusion on this particular topic. And it's just in general, I have found that sometimes when the public requests just some information via a PRA and they get that information, sometimes it's hard to understand the context around that information that they received, particularly with a report or a spreadsheet or anything like that. And that is not specific to the college. That could be you ask for the budget from the county, you ask for some document, and it's helpful to have additional detail behind that to get a full understanding. So I would just encourage any member of the public that really cares about what's going on in government and to get to the bottom of it, that if they utilize the PRA process to get documents, to try and meet with appropriate leaders that understand that information and have a conversation about it as well. I know that isn't always possible, but I would just generally encourage the public to do that. I think it creates a really different situation when you can have that context. So I also want to thank everyone who came today. On both sides of the issue. It's actually not often that we have a large amount of public participation at our meetings, and it's great to see. I'm also grateful to the taxpayers for the nursing and public safety building at the Yuba College campus, and I want to thank the cadets especially for being here today. My son's a graduate of the Fire Academy in 2025 and is gainfully employed and doing very well, and so thank you to the Fire Academy for that. I'm also happy to see, because I did not have this information prior to today, that the Yuba-Sutter taxpayers received more than our share of the current bonds. I know that wouldn't happen under the SFID proposal, but I still support it because it increases transparency, accountability, and it increases local control, which I believe is extremely important. And in fact, just to comment, if we were to do a district-wide bond again and I lived in Colusa or Woodland or somewhere else in the district, I might point out that we received more funding last time and they should get more funding this time. And I'd rather have everything possible spent here. So anyway, so I just want to reiterate what I've heard, and some of this reiterates what Supervisor Messick said. We are not being asked today to put a bond on the ballot. We are not being asked to indicate our support for a bond on the ballot. We're not being asked to indicate our support of past or future bonds on the ballot, or our support or opposition to anything that this district has done in the past. No matter what we do today, Yuba College could still put a bond on the ballot. And as Supervisor Messick said, all voters in the district would be voting on that bond, all voters in the district would be paying on that bond, and that money would be spent across the district, including in other areas. I'd rather have Yuba-Sutter voters and taxpayers have control over our specific future, which is one of the reasons I strongly support this. Then we can make sure that money is, our voters are the ones that get the choice if they want to tax themselves or not, and that money is spent in our community, and that's why I support it.
Thank you, Gary. I just want to follow up on one thing. I would like to give mad props to the people who have stood for 3 hours holding their signs. So that is impressive, and thank you. Supervisor Rennick.
Here.
All right. It's my turn, right?
Your turn.
Okay. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for both sides presenting today. I think it's important to understand there's more to creating a special district or another layer of government than just is it needed. Okay, there's lots of things to consider. There's things like, has the money been managed well? Has the work been completed? Is the need there, right? And some of those boxes, I believe we've checked pretty easily. The hard part is kind of deciding if the other boxes have been checked or not. So I have a few questions to help me kind of go through this a little bit more before we get to a vote, okay? So it was mentioned earlier that Sutter County approved this already. I don't believe that's the case. I went actually in the back when we had our 3-minute break, and I looked online, and I couldn't find an agenda item for Sutter County where they have approved this. So I think that might have been a misleading statement. If you could tell me the date and February 10th, and was it a consent item? Because I looked through their. Okay. Okay, and then on your own side of it, your board saw this in December, and consent items typically are routine and or pre-planned or pre-budgeted items. So does this qualify for, was this a consent item on your agenda as well? For the board that saw this at Yuba College, was there opportunity for public to review and input this, or was it hidden on a consent agenda? I just kind of want to know that.
Thank you for your question. Just to clarify, we have a board subcommittee. The policy subcommittee discussed it, recommended to the board to put it on the consent agenda. The board have a choice to put it in the action item. It's still an action item, but the board had a choice whether to consent or standing alone action item.
Okay, and you could stay here because I probably have more for you. So when we say that the palace, quote unquote, was paid for using general fund, so those general fund dollars are things that are used for operations. And it seems to me like we've fallen further behind on maintenance and actually have deferred maintenance that could be completed. So if we say something is general fund, could we not work on maintenance items with that general fund dollar? Or do we have to wait for a bond for that? Because we have like an $80 million a year budget for Yuba College. And I'm just wondering how we continue to kind of get buried in the costs of repairs and maintenance. I know we have new buildings and we expand, but there's also the cost of maintaining what we currently have. So I know we're not here to weigh in on if there should be a bond and how much it should be for or any of that, but I need to have confidence that the need is there and that the work would actually get done, and it couldn't be done with the current district that it already has. So I'm trying to develop those right now. So,
sure. Yeah. Good question. The Yuba County District total budget, it's over $80-some million. This board has been very careful with how the money goes. Every month, the Finance Audit Subcommittee look at every expenditure, asking a lot of questions. Just knowing that it's very similar to many community colleges in the state. Over 80% of the budget, general fund, so to speak, goes to budget salaries. In fact, our spending, the proportion goes to the budget and salary is much lower than state average. We have a board that is very concerned about where the money goes. To using general fund to do facilities, unless it's emergency, generally it's have a lot of demands on salary, programs, IT. The cost just continue evolves and increases from year to year.
So when we say something's paid with general fund dollars, if it wasn't paid for, if we're not paying for the maintenance and it has to become a bond measure, then those general fund dollars can be used for the monthly maintenance, right? The mold prevention.
Potentially. Potentially.
Landscaper to move sprinklers away from a building so they're not spraying on the stucco, stuff like that. I'm just concerned there. And then I have another question on the, so I get that the operational costs or the operational expenses come from tuition in the state, and we're trying to keep this low cost, and that's why it's the lowest cost option. But for our constituents, we see regular increases. We see regular. Sorry, I got a note. It was approved by Sutter County on 210. Thank you. But our constituents regularly are seeing more and more increases in fees, and the last few years we've had tons of inflation, right? And so our constituents this year, they're looking at increased expenses from operating or from an operating contract with their garbage service. They're looking at increases with lighting district to maintain the parks that are utilized. They're looking at increases across the board. When I look at just a couple of random property tax bills in our county, one of them, the annual tax that they pay is $5,449. But then on top of that, the annual fees they pay are $3,176. So it's kind of outside that 1% of what you're supposed to be taxed at to own a home. So I'm sitting over here with Kevin Perkins trying to negotiate to figure out ways to get costs down for our people to be able to stay in their homes. But on the other side of my mouth, I'm over here wondering if our people can bear the cost of another bond, and if it puts them in a financial strain. So to me, it's pretty difficult to support a bond at this point because of the or a formation of another section of government to create another bond because of two reasons. Because we're not in a position economically to incur those charges, a stable position with our regular constituents in the county. The other side of it is I'm not confident that the money has been managed well. I haven't seen the presentations that the oversight committees have seen, so I don't know the actual stability of the college. I just read yesterday that our president is one of the finalist candidates to go to work for another college. So I'm a little concerned. I'm not confident in the ability to push this through. And I'm still not sold that you can't just do this with the special district you already have. Our guests in the back and the people with the signs, I want you to know that your jobs aren't at risk over this. If Yuba College doesn't get a bond, they don't get building and infrastructure improvements, they'll have to make decisions to have good repair and put things in state of good repair. But they'll also have other opportunities. This is not operational money. This does not pay your wage. This does not take student services away. It could make decisions in the future harder for the board members to invest additional dollars, but none of this money can go to operations. So I just have confidence in that. And I don't feel like, I mean, there's other considerations. Other special districts have been denied the same way, or SFIDs have been denied because of financial obligations, uncertain times, the burden on the taxpayer. Those are all reasons why other ones have been denied. So, thank you.
Thank you. Andy.
Thank you. May I just?
No.
Thank
We're
you.
speaking. I was going to vote against this, but I think that we need to separate from the other groups and let their people decide what to spend in their district. And I think this is probably the best way to go with the measures that's written right now. But I would also like to see all this information that we got about the difficulty finding out what was spent, where it was spent, and how it was spent, turned over to the DA and have them look at it, see if there's anything they can do. Because I don't think we're going to get any of it back. But we definitely need to separate so that we spend money and it's spent where we indicate it to be done. If you haven't repaired the Yuba County campus, then why are we here? You know, you didn't come to us. You didn't ask us to spend the money in places that we didn't recommend. So I think we should pass this and then turn this over to the DA and see if he can. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
Can I make a clarifying comment?
Sure.
Comments. And to follow up with you, to you as well, Rennick. I don't support any bonds ever. I never do. I'm farm. I should have brought my tax bills. They're all in there on the desk, so it's tenfold on me. And agriculture is miserable right now. I'm down to one employee and he's 75 years old, so I'm barely surviving at the farm. I can't afford another bond, just like a lot of my constituents. This isn't a bond. This is to allow them to put a bond that'll affect just Yuba and Sutter County, which I think we would have a better shot at defeating, to be honest with you, than if it stayed in the entire district and we get outvoted by Woodland and these other counties. So that's why I'm in support of this SFID, which is just separating Yuba and Sutter County.
Through the chair, I had a clarifying question, and it may be just a difference in terminology, but I wanted to ask a clarifying question of the college based on the terminology used by Rennick. Talked about a special district, another layer of government, things like that. My understanding is an SFID isn't any of that. It's not a special district. It's not another layer of government. It doesn't create any. It's basically an administrative distinction and a taxing distinction. It basically is like a taxing district, if you would. It just creates a taxing boundary is all it does. It doesn't create any other government entity. Okay. So and that may be what you meant. I just wanted to make sure that that was understood.
You want to make that motion?
The other one doesn't disappear. Sorry.
Yeah.
The other district doesn't disappear, and the other one's going to be altered by an act of the state assembly soon, when they remove the Yolo County from it, and then it's going to get cut down to whatever the map lies at after that. But they will still have the other district in place. We're not abandoning it. It doesn't get abandoned. These are lifelong commitments, right? So these are layers of government. These are, special district is not the key for it because it's going to have the same board of directors that it has today. It's just, it will, but it's just, that's another layer, another ability for us. They could run two bonds. They could run one district wide and it fails, and then they could run the Yuba-Sutter one because it has a higher likelihood of pass, or vice versa. They could, so it does create another layer. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay.
Was that a motion?
Now I need a clarification on that. Is that true? There'll still be the district we're all in?
Correct.
So, okay, so now I think I need more information. I thought we were separating.
So my understanding, based on what's happened in Wheatland, because this board passed 5-0, Wheatland doing a similar thing, and what that allowed them to do was separate any future bonds, if their board chose to do so, between the SFID that's the community of Plumas Lake and the SFID that is basically Wheatland and the other parts of the high school district that are not Plumas Lake. And the last few elections, the Wheatland Union High School District has put a bond on the ballot for the Plumas Lake SFID, and they've put a bond on the ballot for the Wheatland SFID. My understanding is they could, if they want, they could put just a bond for Plumas Lake on the ballot or just a bond for Wheatland on the ballot, and only those taxpayers would vote on it and only those taxpayers would pay it. So it just creates flexibility for the board, in my understanding, or I assume they could put a bond on the ballot for all voters in the district. And if they did that, then all voters would vote on it and all voters would pay it. It just gives them an opportunity. To your comment, I would assume, and I can't speak for the Board of Trustees and what actions they might take in the future, but I would expect that if they're coming to us in Sutter County and asking us to do this, it would be their intent to run a bond separately for Yuba and Sutter County if they wanted to do that in the future, because otherwise I don't think they'd be wasting their time coming before us to create this SFID if they didn't intend to use it. But
I got to go back to, so this doesn't separate us.
It does not.
from a college district standpoint, it doesn't. No, but it creates the opportunity for them to separate us from a bonding standpoint if their board chooses to do so.
So again, they could bring a bond on both, and then we could end up paying double.
Correct.
And they could do that either way.
Not currently, no.
What?
They could only
What do
bring-
you mean by paying double? I guess is
They
what you-
could add two
They could
bonds.
say, hey, we want a bond district-wide,
Sure,
and we want a bond just on this new SFID Yuba-Sutter County.
they
If
could.
they both approve, I'm paying on both of them.
They could. You know what else they could do?
What?
They could, if we don't pass this, or if we do pass it, they could ask for a bond this year for the whole district, and they could ask for a bond next year for the whole district.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Their board will get to choose whether or not to put bonds on the ballot and what voters get to vote on those, and then the voters get to decide whether they approve them.
And through the chair, this brings back my original point of why I asked us to not vote on this last time is we can already do this with the current district, so there is no need for the second district. I mean, it gives them an opportunity to have separate local charges. But like I said before, if there was a plan to just have Yuba and Sutter counties have the district and us to be removed from the other district, that would be great. But in this case, we're encouraging another level of taxation. So I would just encourage us not to take action or not to pass.
So I'm gonna kind of agree with Rennick and ask that we send this back to the college and see if they'd be willing to completely separate and do away with the big district and have Yuba and Sutter County and then Calusa, whatever they are, Woodland, Yolo, separate. Then bring it back to us.
Asking
They-
for us to come back and to propose for you to be involved in separating the operations of the two colleges.
For bonding.
Well, for bonding, that's what we're asking for today.
Yeah, except we're still in, what I'm saying is
can't.
we're under this huge umbrella. Now we're also going to be under a separate little umbrella.
Yeah, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about what I'm about to say. I don't think they can do what you're saying. I think that you're asking for them to say, we're only going to be this big, but really they're this big. They will always have the capacity to do what their original district bond is. So I don't think she can do what you're asking for.
But we also can't just serve Yuba and Sutter counties through a bond unless this SFID is passed.
But I don't know.
All right.
Don't know.
I assume Gary wants to make a motion.
I will make a motion to approve this item.
All right. Is there a second? There is a second. Let's go ahead and do a vote. Doesn't need to be roll call, I don't think. Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay.
Say nay now.
Okay. So that motion fails. All right. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, that's,
Later this month, Tuesday, April 14th, 2026 Government Watch. 9 a.m. Yuba County Supervisors regular meeting. 3 p.m. Sutter County Supervisors regular meeting. 6:30 p.m. Marysville Unified School Trustees regular meeting. 7 p.m. Yuba City Unified School Trustees regular meeting. Thursday, April 16, 2026 Government Watch. 7 p.m. Olivehurst Public Utility District Board. Tuesday, April 21, 2026 Government Watch. 9 a.m. Yuba-Water Agency regular meeting. 6 p.m. Marysville City Council regular meeting. 6 p.m. Yuba City Council regular meeting. Tuesday, April 28, 2026 Government Watch. 9 a.m. Yuba County Supervisors regular meeting. 3 p.m. Sutter County Supervisor regular meeting. 6:30 p.m. Marysville Unified School Trustees regular meeting. 7 p.m. Yuba City Unified School Trustees regular meeting. Watch on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, Facebook.com, live streaming YS, YouTube.com, at symbol Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. Thanks for watching.
Sun's up bright in the valley sky, 67 as the day rolls by. Northwest breeze just soft and light, 3 to 6, it feels just right. Night rolls in, the stars appear, mostly clear, skies crystal clear. 44 by morning time, calm winds keep it nice and fine. Tuesday shining 69, calm at first and breeze by time. South winds drifting in the day, 6 miles per hour on their way. Tuesday night stays nice and fair, 47 in the air. Southeast winds begin to play, keeping clouds at bay. Wednesday brings some clouds along, 69 but still feels strong. South winds 5 to 9 will blow, midweek rhythm nice and slow. Temps are staying cold up high, winter's touch still drifting by. Up in the port, take note now, snow might fall on Thursday somehow. While foothill towns and valley floor feel just like the days before. Thursday, 67 sunshine winds. Friday warms it up once more, 74. We're keeping score. Weekend rising temps climb high, 76. Neath sunny skies. Saturday night clouds drift through, 50 low. With the calmer view, Sunday brings a slight rain chance. Sunshine still will take a stance. Oh, let the forecast sing along. Every day a weather song, from valley fields to mountain strong. This is your Yuba-Sutter weather song. From Yuba-Sutter.LIVE we see tomorrow's story civically. County voices, boards in view, what they plan and what they do. Tune in close, stay in the know, where local decisions rise and flow, bringing you Yuba-Sutter True. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
We will call this meeting back to order, and we will proceed to Yuba Wildlife.
So it is agenda item 189-2026. Approve Yuba Wildlife Program Fund application from Yuba Feather Hunters, Anglers, Outdoors Association for sponsorship of Kiwanis Catfish Youth Fishing Derby 2026. Approved budget adjustment requesting the amount of $6,000, increasing account of community grants.
Good afternoon, Board. Sean Powers, Assistant County Administrator. Very happy to be bringing this item forward. This is actually the first implementation of our Yuba wildlife policy that the Board just recently adopted on March 10th. We put in the policy that generally these sponsorships and grant approvals would be included in budget, but one of the items of interest was the upcoming fishing derby that's going to happen in May. So that would be ahead of the budget budget adoption process, excuse me. So we, as the policy does allow, these items are available to come back to the board for full consideration if it's outside the budget cycle, which this does follow the policy, but then it also would require a budget adjustment to sponsor it. So what this would do was augment Kiwanis efforts at the fishing derby to expand it. It has the opportunity to seed fish, fish food, and some other administrative expenses to enhance the event. And with that, I would entertain any questions. I also wanted to make one point of clarification on the application form. We do have one correction on the second page under the funder requirements and acknowledgement. We borrowed some of that language from your district priority fund language, and that's in the indemnification and final agreement as a reference. We're going to strike that and change that to the Yuba Wildlife Fund. That was just a typo on the application, so I want to make sure that gets corrected. But other than that, the staff report outlines the source of funds for this as our Yuba Wildlife Fund.
Through the chair, just a quick question. So what's the, Dale might be the one who answers this, but what's the total cost for that event? Like how much damage does 6,000 do in that event? Is it double the cost of the?
I'd have to defer that to Dale.
My question, Dale, was just if this $6,000, is this gonna like double the event's budget? Is it a lot of money for the budget? How much does it normally operate on?
This will double the amount of fish going into the lake. The whole thing, as far as we know right now, as far as Yuba Feather Sportsman's Group, is this is just going to buy fish. The Kiwanis is still buying prizes, breakfast and all that sort of thing. The purpose of this money, that we haven't quite decided exactly how much to put into it. Sutter County just contributed $1,000 to the effort last week. But the purpose here is to get more fish in the lake so that the kids can catch fish.
And will there be any water clarification benefits from having extra fish in there, or will it be harmful to the water?
It won't be harmful to the water.
Okay.
City of Marysville has been working on water clarity and so on, gotten the aerators in a few years ago. I think things have changed and things are continuing to change, and getting more kids out there, putting more fish in, I just think puts more pressure on all of us to do more for Ellis Lake.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Can we get a roll call vote on that because it is a budget adjustment?
We'll make it a roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez?
Oh, yes. And I was asked to do public comment. Is there any public comment on this issue? All right.
In that case, yes.
Supervisor Vasquez?
Yes.
Supervisor House?
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford?
Yes.
Supervisor Messick?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And if I could take just a half a second here, the Yuba County Museum of History has leased some space at 412 4th Street in Marysville to get a Yuba County Museum going. And we'd also like to thank you for your continuing efforts to get the Museum of Forgotten Warriors issues taken care of. That needs to be reopened. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we will move to our next item.
Next item is agenda item 147-2026. Approve the Yuba County Child Welfare Services and Juvenile Probation System Improvement Plan for the term of January 2nd, 2024 through June 2nd, 2029, and the Board of Supervisors notice of intent for the child abuse prevention, intervention, and treatment community-based child abuse prevention, and promoting safe and stable